Hello, this is Dear, and welcome to another video. Today we're doing Chapter 6 of Hermitcraft Freedom. Of course, if you haven't seen the previous videos, there are going to be spoilers, but this one's more interesting because, I wrote this not long after the Garden Awakens update, or game drop, more like it, but so I decided to have a little fun with it. You could probably tell in the last chapter, but yeah. Things are starting to stimmer a little bit more. Things are starting to happen. And, yeah, of course. There are captions available if you're interested, but you don't have to. It's not required. It's just there if you want to read along with the book with me. That's fine. Or if you want to just chill and look at a pattern, that's also fine. Have fun! Oh. Hello there. Bdubs stared into the bright orange eyes, looking back at him. The groans and creaking noises coming from these creatures sent shivers down his spine. There were at least 3 or 4 of them, peering through the wooden bars of the cage he'd woken up in. How he'd gotten here, he wasn't sure. But he sure didn't want to be anywhere near those things. Bdubs pressed himself against the bars, trying to get away from the creatures. They wouldn't move unless he looked away. He was trapped in here alone with these tree-like beasts. What even were they? Where had they come from? Wouldn't you like to know? A voice whispered in his ear. Bdubs shuddered. He was tempted to look over his shoulder, to see if anyone else was here. No, it wasn't worth the risk. One of the wooden creatures groaned, like dead branches swaying in the breeze. Bdubs snapped his eyes to the creature, daring it to move. He knew they could reach him from inside this cage. What is a cage even doing here? In a place like this? Bdubs eyed his visitors. They didn't talk much. Not that he expected them to. He just needed them to stay put until he came up with a plan. Waiting will do you no good, BOO. What? Bdubs gasped at the sound of a twig snapped in the distance. How did the voice know his name? Unease crawled through him like a hungry spider, looking for its tasty snack. Him. What's going on? Bdubs demanded. They continued to stand in place, staring at him. Excuse you. Another twig snapped, followed by a loud crash. Bdubs gulped as he looked over his shoulder, in time to see a large cylindrical shape barreling through the trees. Bdubs screamed as the creatures lunged at him, smacking and scratching him as he turned back. I'm sorry! Please don't hurt me! He blinked, realizing there were 2 of the wooden creatures. Where did the others go? A flash of red light filled his vision. Bdubs screamed again. He ducked down, covering his head with his hands. As the creatures groaned again, another blast of light fired over him as Bdubs smelled a hint of smoke. Fire. Something was on fire. Bdubs opened his eyes, scrambled back as far as he could. There was now an open hole in the cage, which was ablaze with flame. He looked up to see a large machine looking down at him with a single glowing eye. Bdubs! Impulse's voice broke through the shadows as he appeared in the clearing. Right behind him was Skiz, followed by Pearl, Gem, and Green at the rear. Get away from him, you jerk! Impulse charged forward, launching himself onto the eliminator. As Bdubs' eyes grew wide with horror, meeting eyes with the one remaining creature just behind the flaming cage. The tree behind it was also ablaze too. Bdubs? Come on, you need to get out of there. Grian shouted over the roar of the flames as the Eliminator spun around furiously, trying to get Impulse off, the hermit clinging on for dear life. I can't! It'll come after me if I'm looking away. I'm looking at it! Move! Grian sounded closer now. Bdubs looked up, seeing his fellow hermit behind him, peeling away the remaining wood, while not leaving his gaze off the creature. Bdubs didn't hesitate, scrambling out of the cage as Grian pulled him away, the creature still watching them. How in the world did you find me? Bdubs gasped, noticing the creature shuddering before it withered away, leaving only the Eliminator. Impulse! Impulse sensed you, Grian said quickly. We needed to find you before Gerald did. It's a bit too late for that. A cold whisper filled the air. Impulse screamed, flying off the machine and into the trees, hitting the ground with a thud. Doubled up! Skiz charged forward as the machine began to turn. The older hermit groaned, slowly sitting up. No! Grian cried, a blast of light flying through the air, striking the machine in the head, causing it to explode as Bdubs was knocked back. It did. Stay away from my buddy, you jerk! Skiz proclaimed as Bdubs groaned, sitting up in time to see Skiz tearing at the machine, which laid headless on the mossy floor. Jem stood across the field, holding a large golden gas blaster in hand. Skiz, Impulse chuckled, stumbling to his feet. She got him. I'm fine. Skiz looked up, spotting his best friend. His shoulders release tension as he got to his feet. That was a nice shot, Gemstone. Thanks. Gems blushed, snapping her fingers as the blaster faded away. That thing almost sent one of us back to the waking world once already. So that's what happens. Impulse smiled. It's happened to me too many times. Grian shuddered. So you can't die in your sleep, or die in the real world, Skiz pointed out. Oh, there could be a way, Jim cautioned. I wouldn't go launching myself into the void if I were you. Dang it, how did she know that? How did she know? Skiz muttered. Impulse laughed, punching him gently in the arm. We need to find Scar. Impulse turned his gaze to Grian. Is Gerald still there? Grian closed his eyes for a moment before opening them again, all color draining from his face. He's waiting for us. Bdubs gulped. That can't be good. Bdubs followed his fellow hermits. They had left the pale forest behind, but the hermit wasn't sure the tall spruce trees were much better. The fog was still heavy here. There was no sign of the familiar starry night sky. Excuse me. I lost my spot. There, called night sky above. He almost wished he could wake up so he didn't have to deal with it. But no, his friends needed him here. He could feel it, through their connection. They were afraid, much like him. But they were also determined. Determined to stop Gerald from torturing them and twisting their dreams into nightmares. They wouldn't be safe until they did. I would not test my patience. A cold thought filled his mind. Bdubs looked up, seeing his friends do the same, eyes wide. Where are you? Grian demanded. Bdubs jumped, startled by the boiling rage that swelled in the hermit's eyes. We're not afraid of you. Highly doubt that, Grian. Gerald chuckled darkly. Follow your heart. You're good at that. Where's Scar? What have you done to him? Grian lifted his chin. His jaw was set tight. His bottom lip trembled. Just a little bit. Only what he deserves. Gerald laughed maniacally. Let him go. Impulse extended another golden sword. This won't get you what you want. Won't it? Gerald mused. I won't stop until I get what I'm owed. He doesn't owe you anything, Grian snapped. Split if he burns you. You've done far worse than that. Have I? Gerald scoffed. Bdubs tensed when he heard a faint grunt of pain. Come closer. I can show you. Bdubs swallowed. I don't like this. I don't either, Impulse agreed, glancing over at the hermit. What other choice do we have? Can't leave him here. Hurry, time is running out, Gerald said smugly. Bdubs swallowed back his fear, following Grian, Impulse, Skiz, and the girls toward a clearing. Be ready for anything, Impulse warned the others, tightening his grip on his blade. Feels like we're walking into a trap. Jem fingered her sword, hilt warily. The hilt glittered, even though there was nothing for the blade to reflect. Aren't you clever? Gerald chuckled. Another shudder ran through Bdubs as he stepped past the tree line, stopping in his tracks. Scar! Grian screamed, putting his hands over his mouth, eyes wide at the scene before them. Gerald stood on the other side of the clearing, inside a glowing dome of light. Stood right beside a tree with thick black vines wrapped around it. No, the vines were wrapped around someone. Gerald held an obsidian dagger in hand, the blade inches from Scar's throat. Let him go, Gerald. Jem narrowed her eyes, sword in hand, almost instantly. I wouldn't be so rash, my dear. Gerald shook his head. What did you do? Impulse scowled. Oh, I just reached through the headband and blasted Julius with my own rage. I had plenty of it, you know. Then all I had to do was tell this one to put up a force field. You pay for that, Skiz sneered. With what? I'm already dead. My army is growing by the day. No matter how hard Kate is trying, she can't stop me. No more than you can. That's what you think, Pearl replied. Why do you think this force field is here? Or that I have him bound? He won't be able to escape. Every time he returns, I'll only do the same thing. Over and over again. Not if we stop you. Grian narrowed his eyes. And how do you suppose you'll do that? Gerald raised an eyebrow. Scar, put down the force field. Scar managed a weak smile. He's too close. Then wake up and stay awake, Grian insisted. We'll deal with him. You can't stop me, Grian, Gerald smirked, inching the blade closer. Scar winced, but didn't squirm. No, Scar said softly. But he can't distract you. Suddenly a flash of light burst through the darkness as Bdubs looked away. He heard a cry of anger, followed by a scream as the light faded. Jem and Pearl were now suddenly on top of Gerald, pinning him down. Scar was free from the tree as Grian ran toward him. Scar was prying some remaining black vines off his leg as the younger hermit arrived at his side. Are you okay? Did he hurt you? Grian asked quickly. Scar looked up at him and smiled. Gerald always underestimated us, both alive and dead. Grian returned the smile, helping him up. Impulse and Skiz stood beside Bdubs, both wary and surprised by the turn of events. You also tend to boast too soon as well, Scar. Good times. Gerald growled, vanishing from underneath the girls. Bdubs gasped. He whirled around in circles, trying to figure out where the man had gone. Grian, look out! Impulse warned. Bdubs turned in time to see a cloaked shadow lunge at the hermit. Grian screamed, the shadow falling on top of him as he was ripped away from Scar. Bdubs blinked, and the shadow along with Grian were gone. Gerald! Impulse roared, rage blazing in his brown eyes. Where are you? You can't hide forever. I can go wherever I please, Gerald said from behind. Bdubs whirled around, seeing the cloaked man clutching Grian tightly to himself, the dagger to the hermit's throat. "Don't!" Jim warned as Skiz bolted forward, lunging at the man. A scream of pain filled the air as the two men tumbled onto the earth. "Oh, it is certainly fine." Gerald chuckled as Impulse ran forward, grabbing Grian, pulling him away from the chaos. The hermit's face was as white as paper. Gerald tossed Skiz off him with ease, getting to his feet. "But I have better ways of causing pain than here in your dreams." The men vanished once more as Bdubs gulped. He could hear Grian let out a small whimper as he leaned into Impulse for support. Scar ran to the hermit's other side. "Will he come back?" Scar asked Impulse, pulling Grian into a hug. "Probably," Impulse sighed. "At least we know how to deal with his nightmares." "Yeah," Jim agreed. "Should probably check to see if Julius is okay." "He's okay," Scar replied. "He just knocked him out. Shattered the dream Julius was protecting him in. It was terrifying watching him push his way through." Scar shuddered. "Hopefully we can have some peace for a while." "I doubt it," Jim frowned. "They're up to something. No doubt they will make their next move sooner rather than later." Bdubs sighed. "Anything we can do?" "Plan, practice, prepare, basically." Skiz shrugged. "Not that it's helped us much so far." "We have the null now," Pearl replied, looking over at Impulse. "We'll need a redstone genius to be right on top of it." "I can help," Bdubs insisted. Impulse smiled. "I sure will need all the help I can get. But first, let's spend the last few hours asleep here." Jim giggled. "Who are you and what have you done to Impulse?" Impulse laughed. "I honestly need the time to be with my friends for a while. There's nothing wrong with that, is there?" The dark forest around them changed as Bdubs frowned. Confusion. It caused a mischievous smile on Grian's face. They were now in a valley full of lilies. Next to him was a red and white picnic blanket. The starry night sky seemed to sparkle as Bdubs looked up. It was beautiful. Perfect place to hang out with his friends. And that is where we're going to end it today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and yeah, it's been fun playing with this idea of ghosts. And yeah, most of these people I've played Phasmove. So you can kind of see where I got some of those ideas from. So that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Yeah, that one a little darker, but it was fine. We'll see how it goes from there, because, like, dreams can be pretty scary. But the fun thing about it is most of it isn't real. Or is it? That's could be it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I am repeating myself. I'll see you guys in the next one, whenever that might be. Goodbye.